So the 2025 NFL season is just less than a week away, and because of that, I think it's a great time to come out with my predictions for how I think this year's season is going to play out. I'm going to go over my record predictions for every single NFL team, along with my division standing predictions, my playoff predictions, and then I'm going to end the video off by going over my award picks. So yeah guys, before we do get started, of course, go ahead and hit the like button if you guys end up enjoying the video, because it really does help out the channel, and of course subscribe if you guys are new and you guys enjoy content like this. That way you don't miss out on any new videos like the one you're watching right now. And one last thing I will say, is that, look, NFL predictions, they are a difficult thing to do. Chances are you will disagree with me on some of these things, and that's completely okay. You guys are obviously free to comment your predictions in the comment section down below, but one thing I will say is that, look, not every single team can win 9 or 10 games, not every single team is going to reach their theoretical ceiling, and not every single team can make the playoffs. I mean, there are many, in the NFL right now, there are a lot of teams who are playoff contenders and very well could make the playoffs, but the fact of the matter is, again, because there is a limited number of playoff spots, not everybody is going to make the playoffs, so I just wanted to say that. But yeah guys, enough yapping. Without further ado, let's go ahead and let's get the video started. Alright, so to start things off, I'm going to go over my division and simultaneously my record predictions for each team, and we'll begin with the AFC East. So in last place, I got the Jets going 5-12. I don't think this will surprise many people. I'm sure if you were to ask most NFL fans who they think will finish last in the AFC East, most of them would say the Jets, and I mean, for a good reason. Obviously their 2024 season was a total disaster, and they did have a little bit of an overhaul, you could say, this offseason, getting a new head coach in Aaron Glenn. They also got a new starting quarterback in Justin Fields, and when I look at the Jets, I think 2025 is going to be more of a reset year to really just rebuild the foundation and set that culture right after how disastrous 2024 was. And even though I do have the Jets losing 12 games, I think they are going to be one of those teams that is going to be really scrappy and really competitive, and they won't be an easy out. And I will say, I do think defensively they will be very good. I think they'll have a bounce back season on that side of the ball. And I do like Aaron Glenn as a head coach. I think he will be good for them. And I think he is the type of guy the Jets need. They need somebody who can build a good culture and, get them disciplined and, just have them playing very competitive football. And yeah, that's exactly what I think Aaron Glenn is going to do. My issue is the Jets offense as it stands right now is just not that good. Now, I think they have a pretty good rushing attack. The problem is their passing attack is really not that good. First off, their pass catchers outside of Garrett Wilson, they are pretty bleak. And along with that, Justin Fields, he's a very mediocre quarterback. Now, he is a really good rusher, obviously, but the problem with him is that he's such an inconsistent passer. Yes, he is going to have his good games as a passer, but he's also going to have his bad games as well. And, that's the problem with the Jets. Like, how far is that formula of being a really good defensive team and being really good rushing the ball, while just having a roster that's not super talented? How far is that really going to take you? Like, I do think there is like a limit that the Jets have, that the Jets can reach, with that kind of formula. But that's really all I have to say about New York, for this season. Again, I think it's going to be more of a cultural reset, and they could win a little bit more games if their passing attack does exceed expectations. But in third place, I got the Dolphins going 8-9. I'm just gonna be real, man. The Dolphins, I'm not a very big fan of them. I'm not really that high on them. I feel like they've kind of just shown us who they are at this point. The Dolphins, look, they aren't exactly a bad team. They are a decent team when Tua is healthy, but the reasons why I'm lower on the Dolphins is, one, I mean, they start the season, they have a pattern to start the season off very well, especially when the weather is warmer. But then once you get into the later part of the season, the weather's colder and whatnot, and they play some important games, they completely fall apart. And I think that's a very big indictment on Mike McDaniel, who, by the way, I think he's the most overrated head coach in the league. Now, he's not bad by any means. He is really good schematically, and he is good as a play caller. The problem with Mike McDaniel is that he is not a good leader whatsoever. I mean, one of the reasons why the Dolphins just could get completely run out of the building and outmatched in these important games is because they aren't prepared, and that's a very big indictment on Mike McDaniel. And I mean, last year I feel like we saw some cracks in the armor when it came to the Dolphins culture and how it affected them as a team. And along with that, the Dolphins roster does have some question marks. Like, their offensive line, it is kind of questionable. Defensively, I like their front seven, but their secondary, especially that cornerback room, it is not very good. And along with that, Tua, I mean, he is a decent quarterback, don't get me wrong. The problem with him is that he's not exactly a great quarterback, and even he has a bad habit of not playing well in these big games and playing substantially worse against good teams, and of course the health factor as well. So the Dolphins, look, as long as Tua stays relatively mostly healthy, they should be a solid team. But in my opinion, even though they will be solid, I don't think they'll make the playoffs. But in second place, I got the Patriots going 9-8. Now look, I am a Patriots fan, so I am a little bit biased, I will admit, but I'm not a total homer, either. But I think there's good reason to be optimistic about the Patriots to win 9 games and be much improved. I mean, they did have a very good offseason, and in my opinion, they are maybe the most improved team in the entire NFL. I feel like they improved defensively, offensively, and coaching-wise as well. I think Mike Vrabel, look, he is not exactly like an elite head coach like that, but he is a good head coach, and he does give the Patriots a pretty solid floor. I think they should have a pretty good defense. And offensively, look, I don't think they are going to be amazing or anything like that, but I do think they will be. I think they'll be about average. I think Josh McDaniels, he is a good offensive coordinator, not exactly a great one, and he's obviously not a good head coach whatsoever, but you can do so much worse than him as an OC. I think their offensive line, yeah, it's still not a great unit, but it should be better than it was last year. And last year, I mean, they were easily the worst offensive line in the NFL. I think they improved at the skill positions when it came to wide receiver and running back. And Drake May, I think he is going to take a leap in his second season, and that should help out the Patriots a lot. So yeah, man, the Patriots, couple that with the fact that they do have a schedule that isn't very difficult. I think they are going to take a leap this year and win like 8 to 9 games, maybe 10. I feel like 10 is probably like the limit. I don't think they're going to win 10 games, if I'm being quite honest. Again, I have them at 9, but yeah, like I said before, I think the Patriots, they will be much improved this season, and I got them winning 9 games. But at number 1, no shocker here, I got the Bills going 12-5. I mean, what really is there to say? I mean, the Bills, they got Josh Allen, they got a really good roster, and Sean McDermott, I mean, say what you want about him as a head coach, and, if he's really the guy to get them over the hump and win the Super Bowl, but he's not exactly a bad coach. He is a decent coach, and the Bills, look, this is their division to lose. If they were to not finish first in the AFC East, I'd be extremely shocked, even though I do hate them as a Patriots fan. I mean, the Bills, they're an awesome team. What else can you really say about them? Now up next, we do have the AFC North, and in last place, I got the Browns going 4-13. Look, no surprises here. The Browns are easily the worst team in that division. Defensively, I don't think they're actually that bad. They do have a fairly talented defense, and I don't think Kevin Stefanski is the worst head coach, if I'm being quite honest. But I mean, when you look at the Browns offense, that's where the concerns lie. Their offensive line, really not the greatest, and at the skill positions, they really aren't that good outside of Jerry Jeudy and David Njoku. I mean, their running back room is fine, but again, they aren't great at the skill positions, and then along with that, their quarterback situation, also not very good. Joe Flacco is currently their week 1 starter, and I do think Joe Flacco will probably play like the first half of the season at least, but I do expect Dylan Gabriel to take over as their starting quarterback around the midpoint of the year. And look, Oregon, they are my college football team. I appreciate everything Dylan did last season for the Ducks. Well, aside from the last game that we don't talk about, I appreciate, I like him, believe me, I really do, but I don't think Dylan Gabriel is really franchise quarterback material. I mean, simply put, the Browns, I think they are in for another rough season, and there really isn't much else to say about them. Again, nice defense, coach isn't the worst, but their offense is just not that good. At number 3, I got the Bengals going 8-9. I think the Bengals are going to be in for a repeat of last season. Now, they did get the Shamar Stewart and Trey Hendrickson fiascos out of the way, but I'm just going to be honest. I don't think they're, in order for the Bengals to make the playoffs and win like double-digit games, they'll need their defense to play at like an average level, and I'm not sure the Bengals really did enough to elevate their defense to being, an average unit. We all know how lethal their offense is. Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, the rest of the crew, amazing offense, but again, their defense, really not that good. I think they are going to be in a lot of shootouts, and again, they won't be a bad team, but I don't think they're going to make the playoffs. And then in second place, I got the Steelers going 9-8. Look, the Steelers, they got, until that Mike Tomlin proves otherwise, I think they're going to win, at least 9 games. I think they'll find a way to keep their streak of, being 500 or better, alive. I think they will do that this year. I think they are going to win like 9 to 10 games, maybe 11. But the problem with the Steelers, they got a nice defense. Mike Tomlin, he is a really good head coach, obviously. The issue is their roster overall is really just not the most talented. They play in a very competitive AFC. And along with that, I mean, their offense is kind of bleak. I mean, their O-line, it could be solid. I like their run game a lot. But the issue is, again, their passing attack, really not that great. I mean, DK Metcalf is really the only reliable wide receiver there. And then Aaron Rodgers is their quarterback, and he is a very big wild card. Aaron Rodgers, some people think he's washed, other people think that he's not really that washed, but in my opinion, I think he is kind of washed. I don't think he's a dog shit quarterback per se, but I think he is pretty mid, and I think he is average. And yes, I do think he will be an upgrade compared to Russell Wilson and Justin Fields last year, but I don't think he's going to be such a big upgrade to the point where the Steelers win like 11, 12 games and are competing with like the Ravens, the Chiefs, the Bills, and the AFC's top dogs and whatnot. So that's really all I have to say about the Steelers. They will be a solid team, but again, I don't really buy them as contenders. And then at number 1, you guessed it, it's the Baltimore Ravens. I got them going 12-5. Again, what else is there to really say about the Ravens? They are an amazing team. You got Lamar Jackson. You got maybe the best roster in the NFL. John Harbaugh, he's a really good head coach as well. The Ravens are going to have a great regular season, but like the Bills, the only question about this team at this point is, can they get the job done and can they win the damn Super Bowl? So that's all I have to say about the AFC North. Now afterwards, we got the AFC South, and in last place, I got the Colts going 5-12. Look, the Colts, they do have a pretty nice roster, I will say that. Their offensive line is good. They are pretty good when it comes to the skill positions. I mean, you got Jonathan Taylor, Michael Pittman Jr., Josh Downs, Alec Pierce. You drafted Tyler Warren out of Penn State. And defensively, they do have the potential to actually be kind of good. The problem is, their quarterback play, it is terrible, to say the least. You obviously had that Anthony Richardson and Daniel Jones fiasco, which I'm not really going to go into right now. But Daniel Jones, he ultimately won the starting job and is slated to be their week 1 starter and will probably start most of the season. Maybe Anthony Richardson does, step in at some point this year. But look, the Colts, they got a really nice roster, but their quarterback play, it is not good. And ultimately, quarterback is the most important position in football. And I know Shane Steichen, to his credit, he has done a good job of elevating this team and making them kind of decent, despite the fact the last 2 years they haven't had good quarterback play. But I feel like at some point the magic is going to run out, and I think it's going to be this year. I mean, if quarterback, like I said before, it is the most important position in football. And if you have bad quarterback play, I mean, there is a limit on how far you can go. And simply put, I'm just higher on, a lot more teams in the AFC, especially given how competitive it is. And I do think the Colts, they will be competitive this year. I think most of their losses will be very close, but again, ultimately, I think their terrible quarterback play is going to hold them back. Now in third place, I got the Titans going 6-11. The Titans last year were the worst team in the NFL, and it was a very ugly 2024 campaign, and yeah, some people were low on them, but others, they were optimistic on them. I was unfortunately one of those people, but yeah, man, the Titans this year, they got a new franchise quarterback in Cam Ward, and I liked him a lot coming out of Miami, Florida. I think he is going to be an upgrade for them, compared to what they got last year in 2024, and that should obviously make them a much better team. I will say, though, even though I think Cam Ward will be an upgrade, and their roster isn't the worst, and they will be, again, better than they were last year, I don't think they're ready to be like a playoff team or anything like that. I think Cam Ward, he is still going to have his growing pains as a rookie. The roster still isn't super talented, and along with that, Brian Callahan, I'm not a big fan of him as a head coach. I thought last year he really didn't show he didn't really show that he did anything particularly well, and there wasn't much reason to be optimistic about him. Like, again, to be fair, there's only so much you can do with such bad quarterback play and not a very good roster. But again, I'm not a big fan of Brian Callahan. But yeah, like I said before, I think the Titans will be better in 2025, and maybe they could win like 7, maybe 8 games. In second place, I got the Jaguars going 7-10. Look, I sipped the Jaguars Kool-Aid the last 2 off seasons, and it has not panned out, whatsoever, especially last year. some people are kind of optimistic about the Jaguars and think that they're going to win like 9, maybe 10 games and possibly this division. And look, I'm not going to completely rule it out, and I won't totally discount what they did this offseason. I did like them hiring Liam Cohen as their head coach, and I like the addition of Travis Hunter and some of the other guys they picked up in the draft. But my problem with the Jaguars is, again, I'm going to see it when I believe it. Like I said before, I sipped the Kool-Aid the last 2 years, and it has not, it backfired, in my face the last 2 years. And the Jaguars, again, while I don't think they are going to be a dog shit team, I don't think they are going to be great. I still think they are like a year away. They still do have some holes on their roster. And when it comes to Trevor Lawrence as a quarterback, I'm going to be honest, I'm lower on him than most. Now, he's not terrible, and to be fair, some of his struggles are on the Jaguars and their inability to, build a good team around him. But at the same time, Trevor Lawrence is so damn inconsistent. He is not good under pressure, and he's just been really underwhelming for a guy who's been touted as a generational prospect. And I feel like some people overrank him just based on potential. And I feel like Trevor Lawrence he's just really average. I think Trevor Lawrence is going to have a decent year, but I don't think he's going to be great. Like I said before, when it comes to the Jaguars and Trevor Lawrence, I got to see it to believe it for me to, put them, any higher at like 9 or 10 wins. But that's all I have to say about Jacksonville. And in first place, I got the Texans going 10-7. Last year, the Texans were, funny enough, kind of underwhelming despite the fact that they won their division and won a playoff game. The issue is a lot of people expected them to be a contender, and let's be real, last year they did not look like a Super Bowl contender, and they do have a very nice defense. The big X factor for them is how good is their offense going to be, and in my opinion, I do think their offense will actually rebound from what it was last season. I think they did fire Bobby Slowick, and they got, I believe, Nick Caley as their new offensive coordinator. I think he should be an upgrade. I also, the offensive line is also going to be a big X factor because last year it was really bad. And I'll be honest, their offensive line this year, it's still not looking like a great unit, but I do have faith that it can be like maybe average, probably like below average to average, but as long as it's like maybe semi-passable and their receiving core does stay healthy, which is also another big factor, then I do think the Texans should be better offensively than what they were last year. And CJ Stroud, again, he did kind of have a sophomore slump in 2024, but I think CJ Stroud is also going to be better, and it does help that the Texans play in maybe the worst division, in football. So yeah, I got the Texans winning 10 games and winning this division. And to end things off in the AFC, we obviously got the AFC West, and in last place, I got the Raiders going 9-8. I made a video on the Raiders recently, so you guys can go ahead and check it out. A card should be popping up right about now, but kind of like I said in that video, 2024, it was super ugly for the Raiders to say the least, but I think that will change in 2025. I think they're going to be much, much better, like the New England Patriots. Pete Carroll, he's not an elite head coach anymore, but he is still decent, and he does bring stability to that spot. And I think their offense should actually be really good. I think Chip Kelly should be a good offensive coordinator, but also, Geno Smith, he's a very big upgrade at quarterback. I think he's really good. You drafted Ashton Genty and signed Raheem Mostert. You're really good at the skill positions and recently signed Amari Cooper, who spent some time with the Raiders, obviously. Your offensive line isn't too bad. Defensively, there are definitely concerns because their front seven is actually not that bad. The issue is their secondary, it is pretty fucking bad, to be quite honest. But the Raiders, I think they are going to be much better in 2025. I'd say, again, the issues with them is their secondary is bad. And along with that, their division is just so damn good. And I'm just higher on these other teams than them. But yeah, the Raiders, like I said before, I think they will be quite solid, and I think they'll be better than they were last season. In third place, though, I got the Chargers going 10-7. Now, this is one game worse than what they were in 2024, but the Chargers, I think they will be a good team. The problem is the AFC West, again, it's just so damn good. And the Chargers, I will say, they did lose Rashawn Slater right before the season started to a season-ending injury, which is very unfortunate. And I know he is just one guy, but Rashawn Slater is one of the best tackles in the league and was very vital to that team. So losing him, it really does hurt. But again, I think they should be a good team. I think they'll be good defensively, and I think they should also still be good. I think they should be good on offense as well, especially with the additions they made, at wide receiver and running back by signing Keenan Allen, drafting Trey Harris. You also did sign Najee Harris at running back, and you drafted Omarion Hampton, and he was easily the second best running back in this past year's draft class, only behind Ashton Jeanty. And you still got Jim Harbaugh, who's a really good head coach, and Justin Herbert, who's one of the best quarterbacks in the league. So yeah, the Chargers, I think they are going to be really good, and I think they will make the playoffs. I guess a mini spoiler for later in the video. But in second place, I got the Denver Broncos going 11-6. The Broncos were one of the biggest surprises in the league last year, of course, and I think they are going to continue that success from last season. Their defense, like the Houston Texans, is, arguably the best unit in the league. I think that their defense is going to be elite once again. I think their offense, though, it's going to be better than it was last year. I mean, they still got a really good offensive line. Sean Payton is one of the best head coaches in the league and a really good offensive mind as well. But also, I like the additions they made at running back by signing J.K. Dobbins and drafting R.J. Harvey. I think Troy Franklin and Marvin Mims are both going to take leaps as players, which should really help that wide receiving core. They signed Evan Ingram, and I think Bo Nix is also going to have a better second season as well with the additional experience he has, and given the improvements, around him, the Broncos made as a team, and also like some of the internal improvement that I am banking on. But yeah, the Denver Broncos, I think they're going to be really good once again in 2025. But in first place, I got the Kansas City Chiefs going 13-4. I mean, no surprises here. I mean, for as good as the AFC West is, and even though I do think it will be competitive and the other teams will make a run at the division crown, I think the Chiefs are going to win, are still clearly the favorite to win the AFC West, and for very good reason. And I'd still be pretty shocked if the Chiefs were to not win, come atop the AFC West for what, I don't even remember, the 10th, 11th, straight year in a row. I think the Kansas City Chiefs, again, I mean, what can you really say about them? They got Patrick Mahomes, they got Andy Reid, they still got Travis Kelce, who, yeah, he's slowing down a little bit, but he's still really good. You still got a solid roster. You got Steve Spagnuolo. I mean, the Chiefs are going to be amazing in the regular season, and they should win the AFC West. What else is there to really say about them? I mean, again, the only question for the Chiefs is, I mean, can they win? Can they bounce back from, last year's Super Bowl? And can they win the big game, once again? So that's all I have to say about them. Alright, now heading over to the NFC, we're going to be kick things off with the NFC East. And in last place, I got the Giants going 5-12. Look, I really do hate to do this. The Giants, they actually had a pretty good offseason if you ask me. You obviously signed Javon Holland and Paulson Adebo. You drafted Abdul Carter. You also drafted Darius Alexander, who I liked coming out of Toledo. So I think their defense should be really good. I also like Brian Daboll as a head coach, and I will say, I think their offense should also be better than it was last year. Russell Wilson, yeah, he is washed, and he's not Seattle Russ anymore, but he is still like a low-end starter, and he can be a good game manager for you. But the problem with the Giants is I still feel like they are kind of just like a year away, and I feel like compared to other teams in this conference and even kind of in this division, I'm just higher on those teams, more so compared to the Giants. I think Russell Wilson is going to start probably the first half of the year, and yeah, again, while I do think he will be better than what the Giants had last year, that really isn't saying much. And Russell Wilson, he does have his limitations. I feel like those limitations will hold the Giants back, in some sort of way. And I do expect Jackson Dart to take over at some point this year and play a decent amount of games. And Jackson Dart, I kind of liked him coming out of Ole Miss, and he definitely did show some nice flashes in preseason, and he very well could have a good rookie year. But at the end of the day, he is a rookie quarterback, and there's only so much that you can really expect for him, to do. Not everyone can be like Jaden Daniels last year and take a 4-win team and, all the way to 12 wins and an NFC Championship game appearance. That stuff it's very rare. So yeah, the Giants, I think they will be competitive, and I do think there is a world where they could win more than 5 games. But when you couple in all the factors I went over, along with the fact that their schedule is pretty tough, I don't think the Giants are going to be winning a crap ton of games in 2025, unfortunately. But in third place, I got the Dallas Cowboys going 6-11. Now, originally, I had them going 8-9, but then they did the dumbass Micah Parsons trade, and because of that, I had to drop them 2 wins. I mean, the Cowboys, what the hell were you doing trading Micah Parsons, bro? That defense without him, it is going to be substantially worse. Offensively, I think they should be pretty good as long as Dak Prescott remains mostly healthy. I'll admit, that rushing attack is still really bad, but, that passing attack, it's going to be really good. And I don't think the Cowboys are going to win 2 or 3 games. Well, unless Dak Prescott gets injured. But I think the Cowboys should win at least 5 or 6 games. But the Cowboys, again, that loss, losing Micah Parsons, it is so damn big. Again, I know Micah Parsons is just one guy, but he was arguably their best player. He was the heart and soul of that team. He was easily their best defensive player, and he was, again, just a massive part of that team. So trading him away, it really does hurt that team. I mean, no offense to Kenny Clark, but he's not gonna, have the same kind of impact, that Micah Parsons had on that Cowboys defense. So yeah, the Cowboys, I don't think they're gonna be that good this year. I really hate to say it. In second place though, this one is gonna get me a lot of hate. I got the Commanders going 9-8, and spoiler alert, I do have them missing the playoffs. Yeah, I really hate to do this. The Commanders obviously easily the biggest surprise in the NFL last year, going from 4 wins to 12 wins and making the NFC Championship game. My problem with the Commanders is that, there's just other teams in this conference who I was high on after the Micah Parsons trade, and like I said before in the intro, not every team can win 10 games, and, not every playoff contender can make the playoffs. Would it surprise me if the Commanders won 10 or 11 games and made the playoffs? Absolutely not. But my problem with Washington is that their offense, I think, should still be really good, but their defense, it is pretty damn concerning. I made a video earlier in the offseason saying that defense definitely could hold the Commanders back, and that was before the Micah Parsons trade. But yeah, man, the Commanders, I do think they will be solid this year as long as their offense is decent, but that defense, it really does worry me. I don't think their defense is going to be all that good, and ultimately, I do think they will miss the playoffs by just a little bit. But in first place, I got none other than the reigning Super Bowl champions in the Philadelphia Eagles, going 12-5. I mean, not much has to be said about the Philadelphia Eagles. I mean, they still return an extremely good roster. They still got Nick Sirianni as their head coach. I mean, the Eagles, it would really surprise me if they were to not win the NFC East. Yeah, maybe the Commanders could sneak up and, win the NFC East, but, the Eagles, in my opinion, they're clearly the favorite to win this division, and there really isn't much else to say about the Eagles. Like, they're still one of the best teams, maybe the best team in the league. Like, the only weaknesses with them is maybe, like, their secondary depth, but aside from that, the Eagles, extremely good team. What else can I really say? Now up next, we got the NFC North, and in last place, I got the Chicago Bears going 7-10. I know some people are going to say that the Bears should be higher and that they should win more games and be like first, second, or third in the division, and look, the Bears, to be fair, they did have a good offseason. I mean, they did hire Ben Johnson as their head coach, and I think he will be a good head coach. They revamped their offensive line by adding guys like Drew Dalman, Joe Thuney, Jonah Jackson. They also drafted guys like Luther Burden and Colston Loveland as well. The Bears offseason was good, and I'm not going to totally discount it. But like I said with the Jaguars, the last 2 off seasons, I've really sipped the Bears, in this case, the Bears Kool-Aid. And that was especially the case last year, and it blew up in my face, and it backfired. So at this point, I gotta see it to believe it in order for me to really believe in them more. I mean, the Chicago Bears, look, I think they will be better than they were last year, but again, I gotta see it to believe it. Y'all can call it a cop-out all you want, but at the end of the day, it's just kind of hard to have faith in a team when you've had faith in them, before, but they've just consistently disappointed. And along with that, their division is extremely good, as you guys are gonna see. But in third place, I got the Green Bay Packers going 10-7. Obviously, just yesterday, as I'm recording this video, they made a big splash move, trading for Micah Parsons. And before, I had the Packers at 9 wins and barely missing the playoffs. But now I do think they will make the playoffs. The Green Bay Packers, defensively, Micah Parsons is a massive addition to say the least. Before I was concerned about their pass rush, but Micah Parsons, he really does solve that issue. Their secondary, I will admit, especially that cornerback room, it is pretty concerning, but I do think having a pretty good pass rush should be able to kind of mask that flaw. And offensively, I think they should be really good. Matt LaFleur is obviously a really good head coach and offensive mind. Their offensive line isn't too shabby. They got Josh Jacobs, who's one of the best one of the best running backs in the whole league. And their wide receiving core, they obviously had a bunch of good wide receivers last year, but the problem is they lacked a true number 1. But they drafted Matthew Golden, and in my opinion, Matthew Golden, he will be that number one wide receiver that they were missing last year. And Jordan Love, a lot of it, how good Green Bay is depends on how good Jordan Love plays. And last year, he was pretty inconsistent, but this year, I do think Jordan Love, I think he will be more consistent. I do think he will be pretty good. And you could even say that Green Bay should win like 11, maybe 12 games. They should win more than 10, and that is possible. But again, the NFC North, it is just so damn tough, so that's why I got them at 10 wins. But I do think the Packers will make the playoffs, and I do think they will be good. In second place, though, I got the Minnesota Vikings going 10-7. The Vikings last year, it shocked a lot of people as they went 14 games, and if it wasn't for the fact that the Lions were so damn good, they would have, they definitely would have won their division. But yeah, the Vikings last year won 14 games, but unfortunately were outed in the first round. But I think the Vikings should still be pretty good. I don't think they'll be 14 wins good. They got an extremely good roster, obviously, extremely good coaching staff. How good they are really just hinges on how good JJ McCarthy is, and I know some people really like him, or some people really don't like JJ McCarthy, but JJ McCarthy, I was kind of in the middle with him. I think there are things to definitely be concerned about, and I think that this will technically be his rookie year, and I think he will have some growing pains. He will make some mistakes like all rookies, but JJ McCarthy, I don't think he's complete garbage, and I think having such a good supporting cast will help out a lot. So yeah, the Vikings, I think they should be pretty good as long as JJ McCarthy plays like an average to above average quarterback. But in first place, I got the Detroit Lions winning 11 games, going 11-6, obviously. I'm not going to lie, I do think some people are starting to count out the Lions a little bit too much because they, of how they ended last year and because they lost Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn, and they will need to replace those two. But in my opinion, the Lions roster is just so damn talented to the point where it's like, as long as they get solid coordinators, to replace Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn, the Lions should still be a really good team. Obviously, it's not like winning the NFC North is going to be a cakewalk, but I think it is very possible that they win it. I mean, their offense is still extremely lethal, and their defense is not too bad, especially with Aiden Hutchinson coming back healthy. But that's all I have to say about the NFC North. And the second last division we have is the NFC South. In last place, I got the New Orleans Saints going 2-15. I do think the Saints will be the worst team in the NFL, and I'm sure if you were to ask most fans, even some Saints fans, they would agree with that sentiment. I mean, they do have some nice players, but I'll be honest, the Saints, they just aren't a very talented team overall. This team is rebuilding, and they're just not very good, and I think this year it's just going to be about, finding guys who can be like building blocks for the future, and they're a rebuilding team, so that's what the 2025 season is going to be about for the New Orleans Saints. I don't think they're going to be winless or anything like that, but I think they're only going to win like 2 to 4 games this upcoming year. But in third place, I got the Atlanta Falcons going 6-11. I'll be honest, I'm not very high on the Falcons. Last year they were okay. They went 7-10 like they did the previous few years. Their offense, it's not too bad. I think it actually could be pretty good depending on how well Michael Penix plays. I think Michael Penix, he'll be okay. He'll definitely have some bad moments, but he's also going to have some good moments as well. I mean, next year it will be technically, I guess, in a way his rookie year because he barely played in 2024, and he is an older rookie, so I guess you do expect him to, pick up on the NFL and develop a lot quicker. But yeah, man, either way, offensively, I think they will be fine. My problem is, though, like, even though their offense will be fine, their offensive line, they do have some holes on it. They obviously lost Drew Dalman in free agency. They're going to have to fill that hole. Caleb McGarry recently went down with the season-ending injury, which really is unfortunate. So that's another hole for them. And then defensively, yeah, they do have some nice players, but defensively, I am a little bit skeptical. I mean, how good their pass rush is going to be a massive X factor, obviously. They drafted James Pierce and Jalon Walker in the first round of this past year's NFL draft. I think James Pierce could have a decent impact as a good pass rush specialist. And Jalon Walker, I mean, I'll be honest, I liked him more as like an off-ball linebacker rather than an edge rusher. And I feel like he is kind of raw as an edge rusher, and I'm just unsure about how impactful he's gonna be as a rookie edge rusher, just given the fact that he's so raw at that position. And along with that, their secondary outside of AJ Terrell and Jesse Bates, it is kind of concerning. But most of all, I do not like Raheem Morris as a head coach. I think he's arguably the worst head coach in the league. He's a good defensive coordinator, but he's not a good head coach. And look, if you want to be a good team, you need a good head coach. And yeah, because of that, I don't think the Falcons are going to be all that great in 2025. But in second place, I got the Panthers going 8-9. I did make a video about the Panthers earlier in the season, and I think the Panthers are actually going to be a lot better than they were last season. They did start to show some life last year when Bryce Young went on that hot streak in the second half of 2024, and I think he will pick up right where he left off. I think their offense should be really good if Bryce Young can play like how he did in the second half of 2024. Their offensive line is nice. Their ground game should be pretty good. I like their wide receiving core, especially with the addition of Tataroya McMillan. Jatavion Sanders is a decent tight end. And I don't think Dave Canales is the worst head coach. The problem is the Panthers defense, it's not very good. Yes, they did make some additions, but even then, with those additions, the Panthers defense at the moment is just not that good, and I think it will hold them back this year. But they should be solid, and they will compete for a playoff spot, and maybe they could make it into the playoffs. But at number 1, no surprise here, I got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers going 10-7. The Buccaneers, they should easily be able to win this division. Their offense, one of the best units in the whole league. Their defense is also not too shabby either. I'll be honest, I'm not a big fan of Todd Bowles. I think he is a pretty mediocre head coach, but I mean, the Buccaneers play in a very easy division, and they do have a pretty good team and roster. And Baker Mayfield, he is one of the better quarterbacks in the league. So yeah, the Buccaneers, they should easily win 9 or 10 games, maybe even 11, and win this division. And finally, we got the NFC West, and in last place, I got the Seattle Seahawks going 8-9. The Seahawks last year, I believe, won 9 or 10 games, and they finished second in the division, and I don't think Seattle is bad by any means, and they could easily win 9, 10, maybe 11 games. They could easily make the playoffs, and they could win the division, if I'm being quite honest. But my problem with Seattle is that, I do like their defense a lot. I do like Mike Macdonald as a head coach. Offensively, though, that's where I got my concerns. Their offensive line, it's been really bad, for a long ass time, to be quite honest, and yes, they did make some additions to it, and it could be improved, but their offensive line is still pretty questionable, and how much better it is, it's going to be a massive swing factor in how good their offense is, because that directly affects their run game, which was mediocre last year. And along with that, Sam Darnold, I think he is a downgrade compared to Geno Smith. Sam Darnold, look, he has proved that if you give him a good team, he can play like a good quarterback, and I do think Sam Darnold will be solid for Seattle in 2025, but I don't think he will be as good as he was last year. And along with that, the Seahawks wide receiving core outside of Jackson Smith and Jigba, it does concern me a little bit in their lack of a number 2 receiving option, because JSN, again, he is really good. You got Cooper Kupp, and Cooper Kupp, look, he's still solid, but the problem with him, he's injury prone, and he's just not the same guy he was a couple of years ago with the Rams. And then they did draft Torrey Horton, who I liked a lot coming out of Colorado State, and he was pretty good in the preseason. But then again, he is like a 3rd, 4th round rookie, so how much can you really expect from Torrey Horton? So yeah, the Seahawks, I do think they will be solid, but I don't think they're gonna make the playoffs, unfortunately. 3rd place, I got the Cardinals going 8-9. The Cardinals, like the Seahawks, I think could win double-digit games and make the playoffs and maybe win this division. I actually like the additions they made to their defense, by signing guys like Calais Campbell and Josh Sweat. He also drafted Will Johnson, and he drafted Walter Nolan as well, and he drafted Jordan Burch. So the Cardinals did make some nice additions to their defense, and their defense could be really good. And offensively, we know that they are pretty solid as well. The problem with the Cardinals is Kyler Murray, man, he is so fucking inconsistent. That is his biggest issue as a player, man. Kyler Murray, I'm lower on him because of that. And look, man, he's fooled me in the past. I mean, he fooled me last year. I mean, when the Cardinals got off to that really good start and Kyler Murray was playing really good football, I had faith in the Cardinals. It looked like they were going to win their division and make the playoffs, and I thought that was going to happen. But what do you know? Kyler Murray collapsed in the second half of the season, and, largely because of his, collapse, the Cardinals, they faltered in the second half of the year, and they ended up fumbling the NFC West. So yeah, man, like I said before with the Bears and Jaguars, you guys can call it a cop-out if you'd like, but I mean, it's just hard to have faith in a team that's disappointed you in the past. So yeah, the Cardinals, they will be solid, and again, they could be higher than this, but I gotta see it to believe it. But my runner-up is the San Francisco 49ers going 10-7. I made a video on the 49ers as well. I think the 49ers are going to be in for a bounce back season. I feel like I'm higher on them compared to most. I think some people are really overlooking San Francisco. I think as long as they remain mostly healthy, they should be a really good team. I do get that their receiving core has already dealt with quite a bit of injuries already, and that is kind of concerning, but I do feel like if they can just, I guess survive with that banged up receiving core for some time and wait for that receiving core to get healthy, then they should be fine. But yeah, the 49ers, look, again, as long as they remain as long as their team remains mostly healthy, they should be just fine and they should be able to make the playoffs, which is what I think will happen. And I do think they could finish first in the NFC West. But number one, I got the Rams going 11-6. The Rams last year obviously got off to a bit of a rough start with injuries, and it looked like they were finished, but they held on, and what do you know? They won the NFC West and they made the playoffs and even won a playoff game. Offensively, they are really good when they're on. Matthew Stafford is still one of the better quarterbacks in the league. They got a nice ground game and offensive line. Their weapons are really good. You already had Puka Nacua, but you signed Devontae Adams. You drafted Terrence Ferguson in this year's NFL draft, and I liked him a lot coming out of Oregon, also 303 native, shout out to him. But yeah, I'm not sure how much playing time he'll get, but he is a nice addition. Maybe he could be pretty good for them. But yeah, the Rams, I think they might coast a little bit in the regular season. Plus, I do expect Matthew Stafford to miss a few games as he is dealing with a back issue, so maybe they do load manage him a little bit, but the Rams, I think they're going to be really good, and I think they'll make the playoffs. But now that we have those record predictions out of the way, it's time to go over my playoff predictions. So real quickly, here's the seeding for each conference. In the AFC, 1 I got the Chiefs, 2 I got the Ravens, 3 I have the Bills, 4 I have the Texans, 5 I have the Broncos, 6 I have the Chargers, and lastly I got the Patriots. And then in the NFC, I got the Eagles as 1, Lions in second place, 3rd I got the Rams, 4th I got the Buccaneers, 5th I have the Vikings, 6th I have the Packers, and then lastly I got the San Francisco 49ers. But in the AFC, in the wild card round, I got the Broncos beating the Texans, the Bills beating the Chargers, and then the Ravens unfortunately beating my Patriots. And then I got the Ravens beating the Bills in the divisional round, and the Chiefs beating the Broncos in the divisional round. And that sets us up with an AFC championship game with the Ravens and the Chiefs. And I'm going to pick the Ravens actually to win this game. And I got them beating the Chiefs and advancing to the Super Bowl for the first time since, 2012? So, yeah. In the NFC playoffs, though, in the wild card round, I got the Buccaneers beating the Vikings, the Rams beating the Packers, and then I got a big upset. I got the 49ers beating the Lions, and then in the divisional round, I had the Rams beating the Buccaneers, the Eagles beating the 49ers, and that sets us up with the NFC Championship game of the Rams and the Eagles, and I got the Eagles winning this game and making it back to the Super Bowl, and it sets us up with the Super Bowl of the Ravens and the Eagles, and I very well could see the Eagles repeating as champions, but as you guys can tell from that wordage, I'm going to pick the Ravens actually to win this game, and I got my Super Bowl MVP being Lamar Jackson. And with that out of the way, I'm going to close things off with my NFL award picks. Offensive Player of the Year, I got Ja'Marr Chase. Defensive Player of the Year, I got Nick Bosa. Offensive Rookie of the Year, I'm going Ashton Genty. Defensive Rookie of the Year, I'll go Abdul Carter. Coach of the Year, I'm going Mike Vrabel. Protector of the Year or Offensive Lineman of the Year, the newest award, I'm going with Lane Johnson. Comeback Player of the Year, I'm going Aiden Hutchinson. And then lastly, for MVP, I am going with Patrick Mahomes. But that's it for today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching. It really does mean a lot to me. Again, make sure you guys hit the like button and subscribe if you guys haven't already. And then check me out on social media. The links to my Twitter and Instagram are in the description below. But without further ado, I'm out, you guys.